Wouldn't you just love to know what goes on after death? Apparently it's a concern folks have had since the dawn of time. We're morbid. Death looms over us our entire lives. There's gotta be something that happens next, right? I mean, you might subscribe to the idea like me that we're just flesh machines with gray squishy computers in our hands that go kaput one day, but folks have claimed to contact long dead individuals for quite some time now. Hello horror heads, and welcome back to the scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your horror host Keegan Hughes, and today we're going to be talking about the top 5 scary hauntings throughout history. Before we get to our list though, we've got a special message from today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. We've talked about Raid on this channel before, and you've probably heard about it already. It is one of the top RPGs on the App Store. It's a pretty nifty collection RPG with hundreds of champions to choose between and fight with. If you like cool and realistic graphics, this is the mobile game for you. We can go ahead here and open some shards. The nice thing about cracking open shards is that regardless if you get a good one or a bad one, it's still useful. If you get a useful one, go right ahead and use it. And if you get one that's less than ideal, you can sacrifice them to level up your favorites. There's no better time to start than now, especially because the daily login reward program for new players has been doubled from 90 to 180 days. Each day you can log in and claim your free rewards, from energy refills to silver, gems, and shards. And there's a free barbarian legendary champion to snag now, Skill of the Drake. So go ahead now to the video description and click on the links to get 100,000 silver, 2 clan boss keys, 10 mystery shards to unlock new champions, and a free awesome champion, the Executioner. This offer is only available for 30 days, so head on over now. Outstanding. Let's get to our hauntings. Coming in at number 5, we've got an ancient Egyptian ghost story. Back in 1200 BC, somebody in ancient Egypt decided to put a ghostly story to paper, or pottery, I suppose. An Egyptologist named Gaston Maspero published this story found on 4 pieces of broken pottery, which tell the tale of a man who spent a night next to a tomb and was awakened by a ghost. This man then went to the high priest Kamsuheb and told him about the experience. From there, the high priest decided to summon the ghost and hear his story. When the Spectre arrives, he claims that he is Nabuzmek and that he's been disturbed in the afterlife by some sort of damage or trespass upon his tomb. It's not totally clear because more pottery pieces haven't been discovered yet. So the priest offers to rebuild a new tomb complete with a gilded coffin to make the spirit peaceful once again, but the ghost expresses some reluctance. He says that others have offered similar things but never followed through. So to prove his commitment to the cause, the priest then shares the ghost's fate for a little bit, living without food, water, air, or daylight. The text ends before the story concludes, but it seemed likely that the plan to pacify the phantom worked. Tales like this are relatively common in Egyptian lore, as they did believe in life after death. It's less creepy than a mummy rising from the tomb and killing people, but back then I feel like they didn't have all the modern, scary storytelling tools that we so enjoy today. Coming in at number 4, we've got a chained ghost in Athens. This one comes from a Roman senator known as Pliny the Younger. Even though the story was told before his death in 113 AD, it still survives. That's a long-lasting ghost story. According to this storyteller, there was a large and roomy house somewhere in Athens that should have been quite a popular location. Instead, it had a bad reputation and no one wanted to live in it. After the tale made its rounds, the philosopher Athenodorus went to see what could be done about the ghastly, noisy figure. He stayed in the house, and when the ghost finally appeared, he calmly approached it, marked the spot in which it materialized, and then ordered it dug up the next morning. Underneath, the skeleton of a man in chains was found, rotting away. Obviously, the man had endured a terrible fate and was tethered to this spot, lacking a proper burial. Once the proper funeral rites were complete, the ghost appeared no more, and the house was no longer haunted. If only modern ghosts were this easygoing. I feel like anything that gets exorcised these days tries to kill and maim whoever was involved. Just chill. I'm trying to help you. Coming in at number 3, we've got Raynham Hall. This almost 400-year-old manor is full of ghost stories. It's huge and has a long haunted history. The spirit of Lady Dorothy Townshend, wife of the 2nd Viscount of the estate, is said to roam the grounds. She died after contracting smallpox in 1726 and was known to have had an affair. Scandalous. For whatever reason, she wanders the manor dressed in brown, earning her the title the Lady in Brown. The Spectre was first seen by Lucia C. Stone around the Christmas of 1835. Soon after, a Colonel Loftus also saw the ghost and claimed that she had empty eye sockets and a glowing face. These tales were passed around from person to person with little to no evidence until around 100 years later, when a photographer for Country Life magazine showed up to take some snapshots of the estate. They had set up their camera to capture some pictures of the stairwell when a hazy figure appeared. The picture was taken, and when developed, seems to show a translucent figure floating down the steps. It's quite the famous image and has attracted a fair deal of scrutiny. Maybe it's a double exposure, maybe it was doctored. However, no one's been able to prove either of these theories, but I suppose the same can be said about the ghost itself. Coming in at number 2, we've got Aokigahara Woods. Also known as the Suicide Forest, this thick bit of flora sits at the foot of Mount Fuji in Japan. Plenty of disaffected people have come here to end their lives over the years. Nowadays, there are signs placed urging people to seek help, and volunteers often head in to try to talk people out of committing suicide. The forest is so thick and dense that folks need to bring colored tapes and ribbons to help them find their way back to the entrance. It doesn't help that most sound is muffled very effectively, making the whole area eerily quiet. On top of the dark denseness of it all, the soil is also rich with magnetic iron, which causes phones, GPSs, and even compasses to malfunction, leading people to become more hopelessly lost if they're not careful. Some say these technological issues are proof of demonic presence. As with anywhere where death is common, these woods have plenty of ghost stories associated with them. According to legend, people would bring family members here in times of famine and leave them to die. This was done to save food for others. Those left in the woods would slowly starve and become what are known as yurei, or souls filled with hatred, sadness, and a desire for revenge. Superstitious folks believe that these yurei would walk around screaming near their bodies, and often people tasked with removing their deceased from the woods would play rock, paper, scissors to figure out who had to do the scariest job. And finally, at number 1, we've got the Tower of London. This 900-year-old building is absolutely full to the brim with ghosts. There are enough stories to fill volumes of books. We can talk about the Queen's House, where Arabella Stuart roams. The first cousin of King James I married against the king's wishes and was sent to the tower as punishment. Her ghost floating around seems to tell us that she's still there serving time. If you were to visit the Martin Tower, you might run into a fuzzy grizzly ghost. Back in the day, all sorts of exotic animals were kept in here as an exotic zoo of sorts. Among these fascinating creatures was a bear, and this bear must have been treated very poorly because it stuck around for the afterlife to cause some mayhem. There's a story of the bear appearing before a guard and sending them into shock so bad that they died. I mean, I get it, it's a ghost bear. Fans of The Shining might find something familiar in the next tale, the tale of 2 ghostly twins. It's said that 2 young princes were murdered in 1483 and the culprit was never found. So now it's not uncommon to see 2 little boys holding hands, melting into walls and floating between rooms. Come play with us, Danny. I could keep going forever with these stories, but we've only got so many hours in the day, so I'll cut it there. However, if you're interested, you can look into Anne Boleyn's Headless Ghost, The Woman in White, or even a set of haunted armor. Seriously, this place is a hotbed for ghostly activity. I tried to space out all the hauntings today, cover some ones from all sorts of different places and times. What'd you think of the list? What hauntings do you find the scariest? Are there any that I should have brought up today and I didn't? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more definitive ones from the top 5 scary illegal horror games, part 2. Mimi Katzen asks, Keegan, how the heck do you give a severed thumbs up? By putting the thumbs on skewers, obviously. The Real TNT says, I played Thrill Kill and it was lame, overhyped by the media. Yeah, that tends to be the case a lot of the time. If you can't make a great scary game, you should at least get it condemned, right? Taya001 says, Splatterhouse is such an underrated gem. I loved it and it was romantic to me. Rick loves his girlfriend so much that he makes a pact with a superior demon mask. And then she turns into a big-ass demon at the end. In the arcade version anyways. Mike Vasquez says, killing demons should be considered a good thing by religious types. I mean, that would make sense, right? But God forbid a cross ever show up in one of the games. And Enderboy32 says, hey there, Keegan, any good reads on the bookshelf back there? There's a few good ones. What do I got? I mean, I really did enjoy Meet Me in the Bathroom. It's about independent alt-rock. It's about alt-rock in the early 2000s. And that's all the time we have for today. Thanks again to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring today's video. Before I do 180 on the Don Valley Parkway, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more hillside haunts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Tales like this are relatively common in a digital... After the tale made its rounds, the philosopher Athenodorus, wow,